Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 191, Two Unknown Figures Turn into Madmen. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Wu Yaozu whispered, "Brother, that woman in black is looking at me again." Qin Ming, who had also noticed, replied, "I've told you before, it's just your imagination. Do you know how to handle this? Just ignore her." Wu Yaozu glanced at him and muttered, "Brother, I think you're going to end up alone for life." He then gasped, inhaling a mouthful of fiery mist. Hiss. I sensed more carefully. Why does it feel like she's actually staring at your back? I take back what I said earlier. Wu Yaozu perked up. Brother, do you know her but are deliberately ignoring her? Is there some past between you two? Xiaowu's perception was indeed exceptionally sharp. Few could detect the covert observation of masters like Master Wu and Tang Jin. Let's go. Qin Ming hurried forward, afraid Wu Yaozu would start spouting nonsense. The boy had just emerged from the Forbidden Land, and when he focused on something, he became particularly enthusiastic. Wu Yaozu nodded and followed, saying, "Could this be the vibrant world of mortals my grandmother spoke of?" Gatherings and partings, fleeting glances, even in the vast sea of humanity, one can still find familiar eyes unchanged by time. Such a chance encounter surpasses a lifetime of mundane routines. Qin Ming desperately wanted to cover Wu Yaozu's mouth and quickly dragged him into the crowd. He feared Tang Jin and Master Wu's heightened senses might allow them to extract their conversation from the surrounding noise. Two young men with extraordinary perception, they can sense even this. The purple-eyed raven remarked, then cackled as if hearing something amusing. Beside him, Tang Jin, her graceful figure draped in a wide black robe, her face darkening slightly, hissed, "What are you laughing at? It sounds awful. Gahahaha. A truly unexpected encounter. Shut up." Under the night sky, Shan Mountain and River Academy buzzed with activity, resembling a festive occasion. Figures moved everywhere. Qin Ming spotted the 16-year-old, yellow crow, perched on a tree branch at a crossroads and asked with a smile, "Senior sister, what are the ticket prices now?" "Flying dragon soars to heaven." Sister Crow declared proudly, though her business was indeed thriving. "You two will regret not coming sooner. Prices have doubled." "Really?" Wu Yaozu's eyes widened. "If only we'd hoarded some tickets earlier. We could have covered our fee for the academy." Sister Crow turned her back on them. "Tickets are impossible to get now. Even I can only secure a few through special channels for VIP clients." She was swamped with customers clamoring for tickets. "Think about it," she continued. "This is a clash between a quasi-ancestor's closed-door disciple and the heaven-blessed prodigy who swept through the 81 cities. It's the talk of Kunling City, known far and wide." Wu Yaozu rubbed his hands together, his eyes burning with excitement. "Sister Crow, I think you should sell tickets for my sparring matches with Brother Ming, too." Sister Crow rolled her eyes. "PFF'd. You two nobodies. Even if you paid people to watch, no one would come." The surrounding ticket buyers nodded in agreement. "Yes, brother, we aren't trying to be mean, but even if we gave you 2 weeks of hype, nobody would care." Wu Yaozu half-jokingly boasted, "Brother, I'm not bragging, but tonight, I could pin down and beat both of those legendary prodigies who everyone's talking about." "Brother, you're bold. You really dare to talk big. Alright, I'll be waiting to see your name in the night report someday. This kid's got some nerve. He can brag even more than my grandfather on his wheelchair when he's drunk." The crowd erupted in laughter. Sister Crow suggested, "Why don't you two grit your teeth and buy 2 tickets? Go see just how strong this ambitious young ancestor, who wants to test his sword against the world, really is. Even if you can't match his talent or cultivation, you can at least learn something from his style and presence during this grand spectacle. That'd be a real improvement for you." Wu Yaozu scoffed, "Am I crazy? Buy tickets to watch 2 guys who might not even be as good as me fight? No way. Sister Crow, if you gave us 2 free tickets, we might consider it." Sister Crow retorted, "Then I'd have to be the crazy one." Nearby, a commotion stirred as a group of women passed by. Several people whispered about them, and the woman in the lead seemed to be someone important. Her swaying silhouette was undeniably captivating. Sister Crow whispered, "See that? That's Lu Hanyu, the most beautiful senior sister at our Shan Mountain and River Academy. Her talent is astonishing, and after years of quiet cultivation, she's finally ready to shine. The elders of Immortal Land have already taken notice of her, her future is limitless. Even she's here to watch the duel. When you two can attract the attention of such a celestial figure, I can sell tickets to your matches. Look, it's Lu Mingzi and Tang Jun, who haven't appeared for a long time. Even they've emerged from seclusion to watch the battle. Huh. That's Immortal Flower Luo Lianqing from Flying Immortal Academy next door." The men and women around her are all figures of great renown, each with profound cultivation. Qin Ming and Wu Yaozu stood at the crossroads, listening intently to the crowd's chatter and learning about many famous figures. Kunling could be considered an academy city, with numerous renowned disciples from various Dao lineages and academies gathering here, all influential figures stirring up heated discussions. Today, Shan Mountain and River Academy was bursting with activity. The fire springs snaked through the grounds, illuminating every corner of the academy, even the dark forest near Qinming and Wu Yaozu's dormitory area, which now glowed with light. After wandering around the academy for a while, the novelty wore off. Without tickets to the duel, they returned to their residence, only to find it overrun with outsiders milling about, disrupting their peace. I think we don't need to be so low-key anymore. It's time to move to a better place, Qinming said. Both Qinming and Wu Yaozu agreed that their current living environment was subpar. Anyone could come and go as they pleased, the noise was excessive, and mosquitoes, though unable to approach, made the experience unpleasant. In contrast, the distant region where fire springs flowed, and the scenery was picturesque, was far superior. Outsiders were forbidden from entering, ensuring complete tranquility. While primarily inhabited by disciples of the Immortal Path and Secret Sect, others could still seize control and take their place. Let's go. The two were men of action. They grabbed their belongings and left immediately, confident of success and never needing to return. Ahead, waterfalls of fire springs cascaded down graceful mountain peaks, colorful dragon carp swam in lakes across open plains, immortal mist drifted through bamboo groves, and the fragrance of ancient herbs permeated the cliffside areas, suffused with purple qi. The scenery is breathtaking, truly a feast for the eyes. Thoroughly satisfied, they decided to settle here. As night fell, the area grew even more serene. Only the melodious chirping of birds echoed through the fiery red vines, while a few immortal cranes strolled through the distant wetlands. Stop, you two. Someone stopped them, immediately recognizing they weren't students residing here. We're here to choose a residence, Wu Yaozu replied. The person blocking their path remained silent. These two were certainly confident, having brought their luggage with them. Still, he didn't make things difficult and allowed them to register. Qinming and Wu Yaozu marveled at the place. It was truly impressive, with lakeside villas and residences built on Spirit Mountain, most of which were occupied by the Shan Mountain and River Academy's most renowned students. After selecting suitable accommodations, they decided to keep a low profile by replacing this year's newcomers in their designated residences, rather than competing with the senior students for better housing. As it turned out, their timing couldn't have been worse. Today was a special day. Nearly all the students had gone to watch the battle, even those without tickets, eager to soak in the atmosphere outside the arena, discuss the events, and be among the first to learn the outcome. Isn't there still over an hour left? Why are they so eager? Wu Yaozu grumbled. Look, there are still people in those two lakeside residences, Qinming pointed ahead. The senior student who had registered them and accompanied them here wore a peculiar expression, though it vanished quickly, leaving no trace. Yes, those are indeed the residences of this year's newcomers, but they're exceptionally strong. It's okay, Wu Yaozu said. As long as the accommodations meet our requirements, the rest is irrelevant. Moments later, a group of over a dozen people emerged from the two residences, their expressions hostile as they glared at the two uninvited guests. The senior student who had accompanied Qinming and Wu Yaozu seemed to regret his decision. He cupped his hands in apology and said, "These two insisted on coming." A beautiful woman in yellow robes scoffed, "Are you two here to make us laugh? Are you ignorant or just plain stupid? Do you even know what kind of place this is? How dare you challenge us here?" Wu Yaozu bristled at her tone. "Junior sister, your words are harsh. Xiaowu doesn't like it. I just want to know, are the people living here this year's newcomers? I only give face to senior sisters and senior brothers. If they're from the same year, why should I fear anyone?" The group, initially furious, burst into laughter, though their eyes held no warmth. They began to mock and jeer. "You two must be desperate for fame. You're just asking for trouble. Brother, did you just crawl out of the mountains? Do you even know the situation with this year's newcomers at Shan Mountain and River Academy? How dare you boast so shamelessly?" Wu Yaozu's face darkened. "You talk too much," he said. "I don't believe in such nonsense. If the owners of these two residences are here, they should follow the rules and accept our challenge. Hurry up. My brother and I are in a hurry to move in." The laughter across the way abruptly ceased, their expressions turning cold once more. The yellow-robed woman clenched her fists, realizing that her house was also included in the challenge. The senior student who had led them here wiped his sweat, regretting his rashness. He should have steered these two hotheads away, but it was too late now. A snow-white robed youth stepped forward, his bearing noble and his face carrying a faint smile. "It's still early," he said. "We're just killing time. This is a good warm-up, and we should be glad to have sparring partners." His black hair cascaded like a waterfall, framing his handsome features. His eyes shone like stars, radiating composure and confidence, as if he had everything under control. With his hands clasped behind his back, he regarded Qinming and Wu Yaozu. He smiled slightly. "You two can team up. If you can defeat me, both residences are yours." Wu Yaozu bristled. "Brother, don't be so arrogant," he retorted. "Your words are truly audacious. Who in this world would dare face our combined power? Sigh, let's keep it low-key. I'll narrow the scope, I'm talking about the newcomer of this year. The crowd's expressions froze in near petrification. Where did these madmen come from? Just two unknown figures daring to cause trouble here. I'm itching to step in and slap them both into submission. The crowd seethed with discontent. Wu Yaozu fell silent. Who's being arrogant here? He thought. Didn't they underestimate Brother Ming and me first? The serene, white-robed youth spoke calmly. Very well. You can face me one at a time, or both of you can attack me simultaneously. The choice is yours. Dealing with you doesn't require my brother's intervention, I'll handle it myself. Wu Yaozu rubbed his hands together, then turned to the yellow-robed woman. Oh, junior sister, since this also concerns your residence, if necessary, you can team up with him against me, too. Madman. The crowd erupted in fury. Wu Yaozu felt wronged and indignant. Wasn't he just mirroring their own arrogance? Why the hostile reaction? There was nothing more to say, he had to subdue them. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Netherworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 192, Two Matches and Defeats. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Before the two residences, the view stretched wide and unobstructed. In the sapphire blue lake, schools of vividly colored dragon carp swam in graceful formations. Please, the white-robed youth said, his black hair fluttering in the breeze. His eyes were deep and unfathomable, his left hand casually held behind his back. He exuded an air of unwavering composure and confidence. The lush green grass beneath Wu Yaozu's feet exploded with a thunderous boom as he surged forward with overwhelming force. In an instant, the two clashed head-on, abandoning all finesse for a raw, brute-force collision. Wu Yaozu seethed with resentment. These people were hypocritical, labeling him a madman. Fine, he thought, I'll show them what madness truly looks like. The white-robed youth, secure in his status, naturally met the challenge head-on. He saw no reason to avoid a confrontation, his opponents had always been the ones to cower before him. A deafening roar shook the area like a thunderclap. The grass beneath their feet shattered as if struck by a meteor, leaving scorched earth in its wake. How is this possible? The dozen or so young men and women stared in stunned disbelief. The white-robed youth's sleeves were torn, and he staggered backward, his face grim. Had he finally met a true rival? Wu Yaozu retreated as well, but a confident smile remained on his face. To the group of youths, the newcomers were mere unknown figures, insignificant compared to the white-robed youth. How could they possibly compete? It's a draw. The senior student who had led the way was stunned. He hadn't brought two greenhorns, but two dragons crossing the river. It should be noted that the one who had just fought was merely the junior member, the elder brother hadn't even entered the fray yet. Qin Ming nodded inwardly, unconcerned. Come on. The white-robed youth challenged again. He used the Path of Awakening as a secondary path, primarily channeling the secret sect's divine path. With a gesture, his palm emitted a blindingly bright light, and a bolt of lightning tore through the void. He was an innate ability user, a master of lightning, no wonder he exuded such confidence. Legend had it that the power of lightning, when accumulated to its zenith, can punish opponents on any path, making it an overwhelmingly dominant ability. After a direct clash using Awakening Path's techniques, the white-robed youth immediately unleashed his ultimate move in his second strike, demonstrating his respect for Wu Yaozu and his desire for a swift victory. His companions' faces lit up with joy. Now that he had unleashed this power, victory seemed assured, and they could swiftly defeat the strange youth. Wu Yaozu's pupils constricted, but he remained composed. A unique, dazzling rainbow light erupted from his body, transforming into an arched bridge that drew the lightning toward it. However, the lightning didn't strike the bridge. Instead, just before impact, they veered sharply, plunging into the nearby lake. With a deafening roar, the lake's surface exploded in a cloud of steaming mist. Brightly colored dragon carp floated belly up, cooked to a crisp. Transformation of yin and yang. The white-robed youth exclaimed in astonishment, his expression turning grave. The rainbow light bridge had initially simulated his lightning, but now it had evolved further, manifesting the principles of yin and yang. Wu Yaozu remained silent. The rainbow light bridge drew vast quantities of mist from the lake, which swirled around him, preparing to use it against his opponent. Qin Ming marveled. The rainbow light within Xiao Wu was truly extraordinary, capable of manifesting yin-yang lightning. Innate ability users were exceedingly rare, and whenever one emerged, they were highly valued and meticulously nurtured by all factions. The white-robed youth now glowed with radiant light, crackling with interwoven lightning. The grass beneath his feet had long since been scorched black, emitting a burnt smell. In his hand, an irregularly shaped spear of condensed lightning materialized. Crackling with terrifying thunderous light, he charged toward Xiao Wu, thrusting the spear at his opponent's chest. The area churned with dense water vapor, as if a river were surging from the blue lake ahead. Wu Yaozu transformed the divine rainbow into a bridge, channeling the water marsh to engulf the lightning spear. In an instant, a massive explosion erupted. The water vapor boiled, lightning flashed incessantly, and a golden arched bridge spanned the sky, seemingly capable of guiding all things and dissolving divine techniques. Two figures moved rapidly amidst the lightning and divine rainbow, colliding repeatedly with deafening booms. A lake lay before the house, its surface erupting in colossal waves. Green bamboo adorned both sides of the house, while golden vine trees swayed with shimmering light, creating a picturesque scene. Yet now, some of these trees were being blasted apart. The once pristine landscape was being ravaged as the two combatants fought with unrestrained ferocity. Nearby, the dozen or so men and women watched in stunned silence. What's going on? They wondered. These are just two unknown figures we've never heard of, let alone seen before. How can they be so absurdly powerful? Even the younger of the two could contend with someone who was the center of attention, like the moon surrounded by stars. The senior student guiding the way felt his scalp tingle with shock. He sensed that something major was about to happen. If the white-robed youth were to lose here, there would be no way to resolve the situation tonight. The dozen or so young men and women were on edge, their anxiety reaching a fever pitch. Nothing could go wrong here. The two combatants moved as if teleporting, like ghostly figures darting through the night mist. Their movements were lightning fast, wreathed in crackling lightning and shimmering rainbow light, both dazzling and radiating an aura of extreme danger. Between them, thunderclouds erupted, and divine rainbows bloomed intermittently. Their violent collisions sent interwoven beams of light tearing through the air, capable of shredding anyone else at their level. Qin Ming nodded inwardly. The white-robed youth was indeed remarkably strong. Dong. From the torn part of the white-robed youth's robes, a small, silver-white bell materialized in his hand, gleaming brightly and reflecting the lightning's glow. He raised it and struck at his opponent. Qin Ming frowned slightly. This wasn't a manifestation of lightning, it was a tangible artifact, a rare treasure capable of amplifying lightning's power. However, Wu Yaozu needed no such assistance. At this moment, Xiaowu charged forward instead of retreating, showing no intention of dodging. He fearlessly pressed forward, determined to shake the silver bell. At the last moment, people realized he had pulled a foot-long bronze pestle from his chest and slammed it against the bell. Boom! Sparks flew as a crisp metallic clang echoed through the air. The bronze pestle shattered all the lightning bolts, proving itself to be an extraordinary artifact of immense power. With a soft crack, a fissure appeared in the silver bell held by the white-robed youth. Simultaneously, the rainbow light erupting from Wu Yaozu's body struck the youth, sending him flying. Blood streamed from his mouth and nose as he crashed onto the scorched grass by the lake. "Brother, are you all right?" Xiao Wu asked, making no move to pursue. The scene fell into stunned silence. The dozen or so young men and women stared in disbelief, never imagining that the white-robed youth, whom they revered like the bright moon in the sky, could be injured by an unknown nobody. The yellow-robed girl rushed forward, shouting, "How are you?" The others snapped out of their daze and swarmed around him. With a swift movement, the white-robed youth flipped to his feet, shaking his head. "I'm fine. The injury isn't serious." His expression was complex, shocked, helpless, and tinged with bitterness. He, the heaven-blessed prodigy, had inexplicably lost to an unknown youth. A suffocating pressure filled his chest. His journey had been too smooth, he had never tasted the bitter fruit of defeat before. "Who are you? With such skill, you can't be nobodies," the yellow-robed girl shouted. Now, no one would mistake these two for insignificant newcomers. "I am Wu Yaozu, though some call me Little Ancestor," Xiao Wu said. He then pointed to Qin Ming. "This is my elder brother, Shen Wubing. One day, our names will shake the night mist world." The onlookers exchanged bewildered glances. They had never heard of either of them. But after tonight, they would remember these two forever. "I've lost. The residence is yours. But please wait a moment while I gather my things." The white-robed youth conceded gracefully, turning to enter the room. "We." The others clenched their fists, unwilling to accept defeat, but ultimately relaxed their grip. What else could they do? Even the strongest among them had been defeated. The yellow-robed girl stormed into her own residence, her face dark with fury. She packed her belongings, seething with frustration but powerless to change the outcome. This is a disaster. The senior student who had been guiding them stood frozen in shock. Tonight was supposed to be the highlight of the night mist world, a clash of top figures. Could the event still proceed smoothly? "Can you still fight tonight?" the yellow-robed girl asked anxiously. "It's nothing. My injuries aren't serious. I'll recover immediately after taking this spiritual medicine," the white-robed youth said, producing a translucent crystal containing a golden liquid that radiated a soft, warm light. Moments later, his entire body glowed with golden radiance, his complexion rapidly regained its rosy hue, and his vitality surged back to its peak. He had returned to his strongest state. Qin Ming had known Xiao Wu would win all along. He was certain Wu Yaozu had been holding back, concealing his true strength. More importantly, Qin Ming sensed something peculiar about Xiao Wu's cultivation realm, as if there was something wrong with it. The white-robed youth and the yellow-robed girl's group departed into the distance. What a mess. Qin Ming and Xiao Wu exchanged glances, having already deduced the white-robed youth's identity during their clash. "Should we beat up the other one, too?" That would be fair, Xiaowu suggested. Nearby, the senior student responsible for guiding them stared at the pair from afar with eyes that seemed to regard them as monsters before stealing his resolve and approaching. Gentlemen, the lawn, bamboo grove, and golden vine trees have suffered significant damage. According to Academy regulations, as parties involved, you must not only compensate half the day gold but also pay a fine. The duo's eyes widened instantly upon hearing the staggering amount of day gold mentioned. They felt as if they had already gone bankrupt before even paying their tuition fees. As evening fell, the highly anticipated battle between the heaven-blessed prodigies commenced as scheduled. Kunling boasted over a dozen top-tier Dao lineages and academies, and a massive influx of disciples converged upon Shan Mountain and River Academy, cramming the battle arena to capacity. Countless consciousness spiritual lights wove through the night sky, observing the spectacle from above. Kunling City buzzed with anticipation, its residents eagerly awaiting the outcome of this clash. Even the night report had dispatched reporters to cover the event. At the Shan Mountain and River Academy's battle arena, every seat was filled, with elder figures occupying the VIP section. Outside, throngs of ticketless spectators strained to hear the results. Roars of thunderous applause erupted from the arena, signaling the intensity of the duel. Both possess heaven-blessed talent, they're the top figures of this year's newcomers. They're both dual-path cultivators, making this battle even more thrilling. Commentators analyzed the match. Boom. The deafening roar seemed to pierce the clouds as the great battle concluded. It's over. Xin Yudao narrowly lost. Alas, what a pity. Our Shan Mountain and River Academy's strongest new student is ultimately no match for Ling Yu of the 100 Cities Sword Trial. Soon, whispers of controversy began to spread through the crowd. Breaking news. The heaven-blessed prodigy Xin Yudao was already injured before the match even began. However, these rumors were quickly suppressed, causing no major disturbance as the involved parties swiftly issued clarifications. Throughout the Dao lineages and academies, heated discussions erupted, especially among the new students. They were exhilarated and mesmerized by the spectacle, many trembling with excitement. Truly a clash of the heaven-blessed prodigies at their peak. This ticket was worth every penny. Ling Yu was incredibly dominant, maintaining an overwhelming presence from start to finish. He truly lives up to his title as the young ancestor destined to test his sword against the world. At this moment, Ling Yu glanced at the yellow-robed girl beside Xin Yudao and asked, "Are you saying that Brother Xin was already injured and severely weakened before our duel, and you suspect I arranged it?" "Exactly. How else could it be such a coincidence?" The yellow-robed girl retorted indignantly. Xin Yudao waved his hand dismissively. "Defeat is defeat. There are no excuses. Take me to see those two," Ling Yu said. "Fine, let's go." The yellow-robed girl ignored Xin Yudao's protests, turned on her heel, and strode ahead to lead the way. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Netherworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 193, Two Victims. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. A gentle breeze rippled the azure lake, rustled through the emerald bamboo forest, and swayed the golden vine trees, scattering shimmering light. Clumps of fragrant wildflowers and herbs filled the air with their delicate scent. Qinming and Wu Yaozu each moved into a spacious courtyard house. Compared to their earlier dark forest cabin, the gurgling fire spring and expansive views here instantly lifted their spirits. Xiaowu spoke up, "Brother, Xin Yudao seems to have lost. Sigh, could it be because of the injuries he sustained in our earlier battle? I feel bad for him." During the duel between the two prodigies of Shan Mountain and River Academy, the spectators roared and cheered incessantly. Even those who weren't present could hear the thunderous clamor like crashing waves. Regardless, the two brothers settled into their new homes, their hearts buoyed by the picturesque scenery around them. "Cheng Rui," Xin Yudao called out to the woman in yellow, trying to stop her. "Never mind that," she retorted. "I don't believe in such coincidences. He must have hired a high-level divine seed to suppress their cultivation and ambush you before the final battle." Cheng Rui refused to believe that two fierce dragons could suddenly emerge from this year's freshmen. It was simply unrealistic. Across Kunling City's dozen advanced academies, aside from Ling Yu and the pure yang physique, no other new disciples could rival Xin Yudao. Cheng Rui hurried forward, her old residence now in sight. She immediately spotted the two figures. The elder brother was casually fishing for 5-colored dragon carp in the lake using her abandoned fishing rod, far too relaxed for the situation. Her chest heaved violently as she felt suffocated. "Look, these two are the ones," she snapped. "Don't pretend you don't recognize them." Ling Yu stood in black robes, his dark hair cascading past his shoulders. His eyes shone with inner brilliance, radiating a restrained heroism. His calm demeanor exuded unwavering confidence. Tonight, after defeating Xin Yudao, one of the strongest contenders in this year's examination, Ling Yu seemed to have cultivated a new aura, completing a transformative breakthrough. Now, Ling Yu's essence, qi and spirit had surged to new heights. He could feel it himself, his cultivation had clearly advanced. His pupils narrowed slightly. Is this the person Master Wu has such high hopes for? With a whoosh, he seemed to teleport, stepping across the branches of the golden vine tree as lightly as a falling leaf, until he stood before the fishing youth, his gaze fixed on him. Wu Yaozu, carrying a barbecue grill, happened to walk out of the courtyard gate just then. Seeing the scene, he remarked, just moved in, and someone already wants to challenge you to take back the house. Why did you attack? Ling Yu demanded, closing the distance and staring intently at Qin Ming. None of your business, Qin Ming replied with a dismissive glance. After a moment's thought, Ling Yu declared, I want to spar with you. He decided to cut through the complication swiftly. This would clear up the misunderstandings between Xin Yudao and Cheng Rui, and more importantly, he wanted to gauge Qin Ming's strength firsthand, given Master Wu's high regard for him. Therefore, he simplified matters, offering no explanations or justifications. Qin Ming was taken aback. So direct. Ling Yu believed in the principle of simplicity, and since he was participating in the sword trial of the world, he needed no further reason. No. Qin Ming refused flatly. He had no interest in pointless sparring. Right here, it won't take long, Ling Yu insisted, his black hair fluttering in the night wind, his deep eyes radiating unwavering conviction. Are you insane, or am I? Qin Ming decisively refused. We're broke after just one fight. Another one, and Xiao Wu and I will have to sell ourselves to the Shan Mountain and River Academy. Why is someone else here again? Qian Chuan, a senior student on duty, sighed in exasperation. This always happened when he was on watch. Hiss. He inhaled sharply, drawing in the misty air from the lake. Who was it? Ling Yu. His head swam. He'd assumed the two of them were nobodies, but how did they keep running into such famous figures? This battle is unavoidable. Ling Yu strode forward, his black robes billowing in the wind, his hair whipping around him. His entire being pulsed with the dense energy of heavenly light force. Above him, a faint spirit waterfall cascaded down. Though barely visible, the fact that he could manifest such a hazy, mystical spectacle using heavenly light was astonishing. He was called the young ancestor for good reason, his innate talent had propelled him to heights beyond the reach of ordinary mortals. Simultaneously, a searing beam of consciousness spiritual light erupted from his forehead, slicing through the night mist like a drawn sword. He was a dual-path practitioner, mastering both physical and spiritual cultivation. Boom! The ground trembled slightly as Ling Yu gathered his strength. With each step forward, his spiritual will sharpened like a heavenly blade being honed, becoming blindingly sharp and radiating an oppressive aura of power. Ling Yu's physical body also began to glow, growing increasingly radiant in resonance with his spirit, as if the heavenly blade were being unsheathed with a resounding clang. He merged seamlessly into the vast darkness of the night, seeking to draw upon some terrifying momentum. Clang! A grill flew toward him, but Ling Yu's protective heavenly light shattered it into pieces. He whirled around, startled by this sudden intervention. Wu Yaozu, observing the trampled grass where the intruder had stepped, teleported close and immediately unleashed a powerful attack. Rainbow light erupted from his body, guided by a mysterious bronze pestle. Of course, avoiding bankruptcy wasn't his only motive. Xiao Wu felt guilty, suspecting that Xin Yudao's defeat might have been partly his fault. Seeing another troublemaker arrive, he couldn't resist intervening. The clash sent shockwaves through the ground, shattering the earth and once again devastating the surrounding vines, flowers, and plants. You want to bankrupt us? Xiao Wu's eyes blazed with fury. The divine rainbow transformed into a radiant golden arch, pressing down on Ling Yu to stop his rampage. Huh. Ling Yu was stunned. How could this short-haired youth be so powerful? He had thoroughly researched the exceptional individuals in this year's competition. The sudden emergence of two contestants exhibiting abilities far beyond the expected limits was truly absurd. Xiao Wu, the sole survivor of the Fourth Forbidden Land, was naturally exceptionally strong. He blocked Ling Yu's path, using a golden bridge to guide an attempt to extract the opponent's consciousness spiritual light. Ling Yu, driven by his ambition to conquer the sword trial of the world, possessed terrifying reserves of power and astonishing strength. Now, his entire body erupted in dazzling radiance, transforming him into a phoenix bathed in flames, wings spread wide to tear through any obstruction and illuminate the entire realm. In the distance, some gasped in awe, as if witnessing a blazing sun rising in the night sky. With a resounding thud, Ling Yu felt a searing pain in the back of his head. He desperately tried to turn around, but his strength failed him. Darkness clouded his vision, and he collapsed face first onto the ground. In his final moment of consciousness, he was consumed by fury. The youth Master Wu valued so highly had resorted to such dishonorable tactics, a sneak attack. Qin Ming lowered his hand without a hint of embarrassment. Since Xiao Wu had already made his move, and with the disastrous, blood-soaked lesson of bankruptcy fresh in their minds, Qin Ming was determined to prevent a repeat. He intervened with brutal efficiency. In the distance, Cheng Rui, the yellow-robed girl, shrieked and fled. She had brought the two youths here and feared they might beat her up, too. By now, she was convinced that Ling Yu had no connection to the savage youths, as he himself had been knocked down. Xin Yudao, still recovering from his injuries, arrived late, just as the scene unfolded. The dozen or so young men and women accompanying him froze in shock, their faces etched with disbelief. They knew tonight's main event was supposed to be the clash between Ling Yu and Xin Yudao. Yet two mysterious youths had brutally intervened, felling both prodigies in quick succession. If word of this got out, it would cause a massive uproar. What would the spectators think? Such a bizarre, sparring match, unfolding in a hidden corner. Xin Yudao's emotions were a tangled mess. He and Ling Yu were now neatly aligned, both utterly defeated. Cheng Rui whispered, Yudao, I believe you now. Ling Yu didn't send anyone to ambush you. He's a victim too. The group fell silent, at a loss for words. Tiān Chuan, who was on duty that night, was stunned into a daze. Ling Yu, one of the two top experts of the night, had also fallen on this patch of grass. He knew that Ling Yu and Xin Yudao were destined to make tomorrow's front-page headlines, yet the truth behind their clash was far more complex. Both had suffered humiliating defeats tonight, and if the outside world were to learn of this, it would spark a public uproar of epic proportions. And all of it was because of those two unknown youths. Tiān Chuan found it utterly baffling. That dilapidated patch of grass seemed to possess some kind of mystical power. He stared at it for a long time, too awestruck to approach. He felt a genuine sense of reverence for that enchanted ground and the two mysterious young men. The aftermath of the battle still crackled with energy. Many were discussing the events, and some were already rushing toward the scene. Xin Yudao instructed a dozen of his men to create a temporary barrier, preventing anyone from discovering Ling Yu's unconscious state and further humiliating him. Brother, wake up, Qin Ming said, shaking Ling Yu gently. Wu Yaozu's eyes widened as he watched Brother Ming casually slip 3 gold notes from Ling Yu's robes. Can you really do that? He felt like a new world had just opened up before him. Qin Ming's eyes also widened slightly. Is Tang Jin's lineage really this wealthy? Each gold note is worth 500 day gold. Even before his body exploded, after accumulating for so long, he never had this much. Qin Ming said, I'm not robbing him. He attacked me first, and I was forced to retaliate. He became my prisoner. However, since you intervened, Xiao Wu, I'll return 500 day gold. He stuffed one of the gold notes back, keeping 2 notes and several dozen day gold coins. Brother, you're so honorable. You're a good person. Wu Yaozu exclaimed, relieved that they wouldn't go bankrupt. After his initial excitement, he felt a pang of regret. What a loss. I forgot to check Xin Yudao for gold when I defeated him. Nearby, Xin Yudao happened to be walking by. Hearing this, the veins on his forehead nearly burst. Qin Ming said, it's different. When you challenge someone, you can't have such intentions. I was attacked and forced to defend myself, so it's normal to demand ransom for a prisoner. Ling Yu woke up, immediately furious and ready to fight to the death. However, a sharp pain in the back of his head and lingering dizziness made it clear that a decisive battle in his condition would only lead to a crushing defeat. Xin Yudao said, Brother Ling, calm down. You should leave this place first. Everyone else has returned, and it's best not to cause any more trouble tonight. He had to stop this. He didn't want things to escalate because he dreaded the thought of this mess making headlines tomorrow. If that happened, it would be a bloodbath of public ridicule. Ling Yu pointed a finger at Qin Ming, his chest heaving with rage. Finally, he turned and stormed off, equally unwilling to become tomorrow's laughingstock. I challenge you to a formal duel. He declared before leaving. There's no need for that, Qin Ming replied, desperately wanting to calm Ling Yu's agitation. By now, disciples from the secret sect and Immortal Path had returned to their residences. The moment they spotted Xin Yudao and Ling Yu, they erupted in excitement. A large crowd swarmed around the pair, their enthusiasm overwhelming. Like stars surrounded by the moon, the two were swept into the center of the throng. Brother Ling, you are the glory of our generation. I can't wait to see you wield your sword across the world, crushing all rivals and ascending to the pinnacle. Brother Xin, though you were defeated, your honor remains untarnished. Your brilliance has shaken the heavens. Normally, Ling Yu and Xin Yudao would have taken such praise and fervent gazes in stride, they were accustomed to it. But tonight, their spirits were crushed. Each word of praise felt like a lash against their raw wounds. They finally squeezed through the crowd after what felt like an eternity, both letting out long sighs. Sweat glistened on their bodies, the ordeal had been sheer torture. What? You lost to the young man from Black White Mountain. That evening, Tang Jin whirled around to face the indignant young man. I didn't lose. He fought dirty and ambushed me. Ling Yu's anger flared with each word, his fists clenching. He shouted, Senior sister, please arrange a proper duel. I want a fair fight. He might not accept your challenge, the purple-eyed raven interjected. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 194, Bursting into Laughter. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The Bamboo Grove courtyard housed an elegant, refined residence. On the rosewood table sat a delicate teapot, its fragrant steam curling upward. The purple-eyed raven, perfectly sized for the miniature vessel, held a warm teacup no larger than an inch in its hand, taking dainty sips. A small, ornate armchair rested on the table, where the raven lounged lazily. Without day gold or secret manuals, it remarked, if it were me, I certainly wouldn't bother participating. Hearing the mention of day gold, Ling Yu suddenly felt uneasy. His chest felt strangely light, the dozens of day gold coins he'd been carrying seemed to have vanished. He groaned, his face paling. My gold notes. I only have one left. Master Wu sipped his tea, his expression thoughtful. This is quite refined. A gentleman loves money, but he acquires it properly. Tang Jin, tall and slender, even taller than Ling Yu, strode gracefully across the room, her long, straight legs moving with effortless elegance. I'll make contact with him later, she mused. She found herself genuinely curious about the youth who had emerged from Black White Mountain. Even if it was a sneak attack, knocking Ling Yu unconscious so cleanly and efficiently was no ordinary feat. At the same time, she felt deeply dissatisfied with Ling Yu. If this were a battlefield, a life or death struggle in the third forbidden land, would he even survive? Qin Ming smiled. Brother Xuanzi, we've already paid for the damaged grass, bamboo, and golden vine trees, plus the fines. Shouldn't you get everything repaired right away? Just call me Qian Chuan, he replied, still annoyed by the nickname that sounded like moneybags. But he couldn't afford to antagonize them. These two were living legends, having beaten Xin Yudao and Ling Yu in succession. If word got out, it would be a monumental scandal. For a moment, he was tempted to sell this earth-shattering news for a fortune in Kunling City. But he restrained himself. Someone had warned him to keep quiet. Better play it safe for now, he thought. He dared not give them a cold shoulder now, adopting a polite, smiling demeanor. These two newcomers were truly terrifying, capable of completely overturning the entire cohort of newcomers. You haven't compensated for the dead dragon carp yet. He reminded them softly. Xiao Wu replied, isn't that just spiritual meat? We'll eat it later, and then it'll be gone. Besides, Xin Yudao killed it with lightning, go ask him for compensation. Qian Chuan nodded, then whispered, if you insist on fishing and eating them, wait until no one's around. Wu Yaozu chuckled. Alright, I'll invite you for grilled fish another day. Or you can take a couple home with you now. I wouldn't dare eat that. Qian Chuan hurried away. Comfortable. Dragon carp with wine, happiness is everlasting. Qin Ming leaned back in his lakeside lounge chair, a wine cup in one hand and a roasted dragon carp in the other. Xiao Wu had already repaired the grill and discovered over a dozen jars of fine wine in Xin Yudao's storage room. The two enjoyed a spiritual meat dinner by the lake, accompanied by the wine. The next day, they proactively paid their fee and obtained a student token, library tower borrowing privileges token and all the necessary documentation. Then, they headed straight for their destination. Why had Qin Ming entered the Shan Mountain and River Academy? To borrow books, of course. The academy's environment was exceptional, filled with rare and precious tree species. Fragrant orchid trees filled the air with their sweet scent, while silver maple trees shed a rain of shimmering silver petals. The towering 9-story library tower rose majestically from the ground, its grandeur amplified by its location beside a lake formed by a fire spring. Lush vegetation surrounded the tower, and powerful guardians stood watch. What a joke. Asking for a list of extraordinary techniques right off the bat. You freshmen are always so ambitious, building castles in the air. Don't you know your own capabilities? Do you even have the aptitude to comprehend such techniques? Do you have enough contribution points? A still elegant middle-aged woman scolded Xiao Wu. Wu Yaozu felt wronged. I just want to borrow a book. If I can understand it, great, if not, forget it. Why are you lecturing me? Qin Ming interjected, we understand the rules. We'll pay for the reading material. This way. The middle-aged woman led them to a secluded area. Xiao Wu followed behind, unable to resist making a dragon claw gesture, still a boy at heart. The woman didn't even turn her head as she said, my daughter is already at the peak of the second realm. You still dare to act up with me? Wu Yaozu quickly lowered his head. Senior, I was wrong. They entered a large meditation chamber, illuminated by sunstones set within crystal lamps, creating a bright, ideal environment for reading. Yet the room was sparsely populated. So expensive. Qin Ming took a deep breath. He found the most frequently borrowed book among the new students, a slim volume of just 13 pages, costing 13 day gold, 1 day gold per page. In Kaisha City, 3 day gold could barely feed a family of 3 for a year. In Kunling City, where prices were soaring, it would cost 12. Before opening the book, he had to perform a ritual, swearing not to reveal its contents. Then, Qin Ming began to study it earnestly, turning each page slowly. After all, each page represented a month's worth of rations. As he read, he sensed intense emotions left by previous readers. He blocked them out, uninterested in their insights. Most of those emotions were resentment, complaining about the book's exorbitant price. Yet some marveled at its cost-effectiveness, considering it a bargain. After reading the book, Qin Ming pondered it carefully. It was the culmination of a senior expert's life's work, meticulously outlining the key considerations for the first realm of the Path of Awakening. Reflecting on his own experiences, he realized he hadn't encountered the specific issues described in the text. Objectively speaking, this book held immense value for many awakeners. Qinming silently mused over the book's final page, its visionary outlook, and certain unverifiable speculations, leaving him somewhat entranced. The Ninth Awakening, attainable only by extraordinary beings, was steeped in superstition among many Dao lineages and renowned figures. In this domain, they often chose extraordinary techniques like the undying butterfly scripture, which symbolized immortality and rebirth. This led Qinming to speculate that the senior who authored the book might also be somewhat superstitious, clinging to this auspicious enlightenment, and believing it greatly promoted success in the final awakening. The senior even cited historical examples of great figures who had made similar choices, achieving significant breakthroughs during their ninth awakening. The Tathagata of this era chose the golden cicada scripture. Like a cicada shedding its shell, tearing apart its old body, enduring trials, and emerging anew with profound Zen wisdom. Xingtian's ninth awakening involved the dragon-serpent scripture. Transforming from serpent to dragon, a bloody and brutal process of shattering the physical form, finding life in death, and unleashing overwhelming power. Qinming reread the passage. The senior mentioned that the predecessors had chosen this path, hoping the ninth awakening would be so violent that it would unlock a non-existent 10th awakening. Of course, everyone had failed. Moreover, generations of founding masters had proven that the 10th awakening was a false goal, or if it existed, its essence was already contained within the ninth awakening. This was because extraordinary individuals with different foundations achieved vastly different results in their final ninth awakening. In other words, the ninth awakening encompasses everything. If someone's innate talent is terrifying enough, surpassing even the founding masters, the rewards of their final awakening will be unimaginably astonishing. Qinming closed the book, pondered for a moment, and decided to borrow related extraordinary techniques. He noticed Xiaowu was studying the flesh and blood soul locking technique. It seemed he was indeed researching specifically to perfect his rainbow transformation path. Qinming asked the middle-aged beauty if they had the undying butterfly scripture and the dragon-serpent scripture. At that moment, Zhao Minggui's gaze shifted. Was this young man an extraordinary individual, or was he trying to establish his foundational realm with extraordinary techniques? Qinming fully activated the harmonizing with the world, modified by Lu Zizai. Only Master Wu, with his mysterious purple eyes, could perceive his abnormality, others found it impossible to see through his disguise. Zhao Mingui said, all the extraordinary techniques you mentioned are available in Kunling City. Moreover, the Shan Mountain and River Academy possesses at least 2 copies of each. But they're very expensive. Qinming was surprised. It wasn't unusual for the academy to have some extraordinary techniques, but having 2 copies of each within the same domain indicated a truly profound foundation. I'd like to see them, he said. Zhao Mingui informed him that only the golden cicada scripture was available for public borrowing. Qinming's eyes lit up. Shang Yiwu, the Tathagata lineage disciple he had met on Mount Luofu, was seeking to establish a new path. It seemed he was using the golden cicada scripture as his foundation, building his future path and techniques upon it. However, when Qinming saw the price, he nearly bit his tongue. 200 gold per chapter. How many chapters did a complete extraordinary technique contain? At this rate, the cost would skyrocket. He had already seen dozens of chapters here, not even counting those currently checked out. Extraordinary techniques are priceless. Zhao Mingui said. Indeed, these are truly priceless texts, Qinming realized deeply. The scriptures were power itself, equivalent to day gold. He suddenly felt acutely aware of his own poverty. Zhao Mingui smiled and reminded him, actually, extraordinary techniques aren't learned this way. Who would spend so much day gold just to read them? Find a suitable teacher, and if they take a liking to you, they'll impart the knowledge for free. Qinming was stunned by this unexpected turn of events. Overjoyed, he immediately expressed his gratitude. Zhao Mingui frowned, as if recalling something. However, with the passing of some seniors, that old miser who's now the most proficient in the golden cicada scripture has become utterly obsessed with wealth. To support his descendants' entry into the Yang land and their pursuit of the immortal seed, his motives have become impure. While others have practiced the scripture, none have studied it as thoroughly as he has. Is the gap between him and the others really that significant? Qinming asked, though he didn't truly care. As long as he obtained the scripture, he could study it himself without needing a teacher. Zhao Mingui nodded. Yes, the difference is substantial. Wu Chenghuang not only mastered the original golden cicada scripture, but also unearthed an advanced version from an ancient tomb in his youth. By combining the two, he's developed numerous new insights. Qinming cautiously inquired, if I were to seek out Senior Wu, do you think he would charge me? Zhao Mingui sighed. Absolutely. To help his descendant achieve near immortal status, he's abandoned all pretense of dignity. After leaving the library tower, Qinming and Wu Yaozu asked around for Wu Chenghuang's residence. Brother, I'm not trying to be mean, but while the golden cicada scripture is indeed extraordinary, granting longevity and offering a chance to survive even death, but if you learn from Wuchengwang, he'll drain you dry. You won't even get half the scripture. It's very expensive. Kind-hearted people warned him repeatedly, don't even think about going there and risking bankruptcy. Even the wealthiest young masters trembled at the sight of Wuchengwang, fearing their day gold wouldn't suffice. Wu Yaozu chimed in, brother, I agree. We shouldn't associate with such a wretched old man. Xiao Wu, wait for me outside, Qinming insisted, determined to try his luck. He handed all his excess day gold to Wu Yaozu, keeping only 300 day gold for himself. He'd heard this was the minimum fee for an initial consultation. He feared that carrying more day gold would mark him as easy prey for the greedy old man. In the end, Qinming approached the residence alone. The courtyard was a riot of exotic flowers and medicinal herbs, a scene of exquisite beauty. Wu Chengwang lived in considerable comfort, the air thick with fragrant aromas. Heh, young man, seeking immortality. You've come to the right place. My advanced version of the Golden Cicada scripture is unique to Kunling City. If you're just starting on the path of awakening, mastering this technique will lay an indestructible foundation. Wu Chengwang, his face ruddy beneath a full head of silver hair, radiated an unexpectedly amiable demeanor. Truly, appearances could be deceiving. Senior, what is the fee? Qinming cut to the chase, preferring directness. If day gold could solve the problem, he wanted to settle it immediately. Wu Chengwang chuckled. Alas, back when I ventured into that great tomb, I nearly lost my life. Ever since, I've dedicated myself to studying the mutated Golden Cicada scripture. This is the culmination of my life's work. As for the fees, they're a bit steep, starting at 300 day gold per session for study and guidance. With that, he produced several freshly copied pages and asked Qinming if he wanted to begin learning immediately. Qinming frowned. These were newly transcribed pages, likely prepared for new disciples. Senior, I want to learn your true techniques. He said earnestly. Wu Chengwang raised an eyebrow. Oh, what do you mean by true techniques? What I'm teaching you now is already an unparalleled technique. I want to see your original scriptures, notes, and personal journals, those are the true crystallization of your life's work. Qinming insisted. Wu Chengwang paused, then chuckled. You young ones are always so suspicious. Afraid I'm holding back the real secrets. Fine, no problem. But the fees will be even higher. How much day gold? Qinming asked. To view the scripture, 600 day gold per session, Wu Chengwang said kindly. That's expensive. I'll go get the day gold. Qinming finally agreed. Could I see just one page first? Absolutely not. Pay the fees first, Wu Chengwang said with a smile, shaking his head. All right. Qinming turned and left immediately. Brother, do you really want to be swindled by that old geezer? Xiaowu asked worriedly, thinking Qinming had gone mad. Don't worry, I can handle his tricks. Qinming replied confidently, heading back to the fragrant courtyard with 600 day gold. Wu Chengwang greeted him with even greater warmth, producing a heavily worn book. This contains my annotations, he said. This scripture is priceless, as few outside the Tathagata lineage understand both versions of the Golden Cicada scripture. Qinming flattered him, saying that his lifelong study of the scripture was akin to pioneering new paths in the awakening domain, making him a truly virtuous figure. I quite agree, Wu Chengwang chuckled, nodding in agreement. Qinming opened the first page. In truth, he could only read a few pages this time, but he smiled, utterly satisfied. The more he read, the brighter his smile grew. Heh. Wu Chengwang chuckled, sensing this little lamb was quite plump, spending money without a second thought. He could afford to nurture this prospect over the long term. Ha. Qinming, in high spirits, marveled at just 2 pages before bursting into hearty laughter. Seeing this, Wu Chengwang's eyes narrowed with amusement, his demeanor growing even more affable. He couldn't help but join in the laughter, inwardly marveling, what a fine little lamb. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Borders. Chapter 195, Gathering of the Storm. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Wu Chengwang and Qinming both smiled, pleased with each other and finding each other agreeable. The atmosphere was harmonious, perhaps a sign of a mutually beneficial outcome. Qinming quickly snapped out of his complacency, reminding himself that this was a one-time deal. He had no intention of returning, so why bother smiling like an idiot? With practiced ease, he adjusted his expression, the smile fading into a thoughtful frown as he immersed himself in the scripture. Feigning confusion, he humbly asked, Master Wu, why does the third page of this scripture suddenly become so difficult? Wu Chengwang chuckled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Extraordinary techniques are inherently profound, beyond the grasp of 90% of people. Fortunately, with my guidance, the Golden Cicada scripture becomes less obscure, allowing my disciples to master it. Master Wu, you truly deserve to be called a path-expanding master, Qinming praised. After studying the scripture, Qinming secretly marveled at Wu Chengwang's depth of insight. This scripture, the culmination of his life's work, contained a truly profound understanding. His expression transitioned seamlessly from a broad grin to a faint smile, then to a serious frown, and finally to a furrowed brow, all part of his plan to make his escape. There was no need to linger here any longer. To his surprise, Wu Chengwang took a liking to him. Not only did he offer guidance, but he also invited Qinming to study in the courtyard, claiming the flowers and herbs would sharpen his mind. Don't be impatient, Wu Chengwang said with a gentle smile. When I first practiced this scripture, I was stuck for a long time, too. Over the years, everyone who had come to him to learn extraordinary techniques had been burdened by deep-seated bitterness and resentment, never showing a smile. It was rare to encounter such a cheerful and refreshing young man. Qinming remained silent. As he studied the scripture, he felt Wu Chengwang's intense emotions lingering within its pages. He had already resonated with both complete versions of the Golden Cicada scripture. Sigh, this is too difficult, Qinming began to make excuses. I think I smiled too soon. This scripture just doesn't suit me. The courtyard, filled with medicinal herbs and exotic flowers, was a riot of vibrant colors and fragrant scents. Though the setting was elegant, Qinming couldn't wait to leave. You should practice like this, Wu Chengwang explained. The golden cicada is both insect and not insect, and this is a Zen scripture. He had intended to take a long-term approach, but since Qinming was already stuck at the first hurdle, he decided to give him special instructions. In the end, Qinming persisted for a full 2 hours before finally leaving with a natural frown. What a wonderful child, Wu Chengwang murmured, watching his retreating figure with a broad smile. It's a pity his comprehension is a bit lacking. He called after him, come earlier next time. Xiao Wu asked, brother, did you really spend 600-day gold? Our family's savings are going to be wiped out again. Alright, let's head back, Qinming nodded. Only after returning to their residence, facing the sapphire-like lake, did Qinming finally let his smile show. He happily caught several 5-colored dragon carp. Soon after, he returned to the courtyard and began practicing his cultivation. Wu Yaozu exclaimed in awe, brother, you're a true prodigy. You've grasped the essence and made remarkable progress in such a short time. He sensed a complete transformation in Qinming's aura, now imbued with a zen-like serenity. At a crucial moment, he even heard a cicada's song that cleared his mind and stirred a desire for enlightenment. This wasn't an actual sound, but rather the harmonious resonance of Qinming's flesh, organs, and bones, producing a celestial Taoist melody. Qinming cautioned, I've only just begun. Pretend you saw nothing. If that old man finds out, he'll likely throw a fit or even resort to violence. Understood. Wu Yaozu nodded before returning to study his flesh and blood soul locking technique. Throughout the day, Qinming focused solely on practicing the Golden Cicada scripture. This extraordinary technique encompassed not only revival, regeneration, and Zen principles, but also generated the formidable Golden Cicada force. How could it be considered an extraordinary technique without such a protective power? Qinming delved deeper into the extraordinary technique, increasingly convinced of its profound and comprehensive nature. When broken down, it manifests as both death force and living force, involving the changes of yin and yang. Ultimately, these combine to form the complete Golden Cicada force. Mastering this aspect allows one to undergo a complete transformation, rising from the brink of death to renewed life. Qinming's expression grew solemn. This was far from the end. Combining Wu Chengwang's insights with his own comprehension, he continued to excavate the technique's depths. He believed this was a treasure trove of extraordinary power. To simulate the Golden Cicada force, he used the radiant halo formed by his cultivated 5 elements divine technique. The cicada's chirping, though delicate as silk threads, persists ceaselessly. As long as its Zen essence remains unbroken, the Golden Cicada force will flow endlessly. While studying the Zen principles, Qinming focused even more on practical application. In an instant, fine rain-like threads and cicada wing-shaped swords materialized around him, the golden cicada force flowing in an unbroken stream. The golden cicada transforms again. Its chirping now roars like thunder. At this stage, the golden cicada force transcends its initial yin-like softness, becoming yang-like, domineering, and even capable of elevating its radiance to illuminate all directions. He meticulously researched, attempting to simulate this final stage with other heavenly light forces, but failed. It was simply beyond his current capabilities, only creating a considerable commotion in the small courtyard. Overall, the two versions of the Golden Cicada scripture differed in their focus. One emphasized the physical transformation, tearing apart the old shell to achieve rebirth. The other version prioritized change and adaptation, manifesting various mystical heavenly light forces and leaning toward practical combat. Beyond the Golden Cicada scripture lies the Divine Cicada scripture, Qinming mused. That belongs to the realm of secret manuals, on par with the Sustaining World scripture. Legend even suggested that the transcendental beings might be connected to the Divine Cicada manual. Qinming sighed inwardly. Every extraordinary technique seemed to have a higher level sequel, truly a systematic lineage that filled him with longing and anticipation. He then threw himself into rigorous training of the Golden Cicada Manual, actively preparing for his ninth awakening. This was about accumulating reserves and solidifying his foundation. Each additional extraordinary technique significantly enhanced his strength by triggering a qualitative transformation in his heavenly light. Moreover, for this final awakening, he intended to deviate from the established path and forge his own way. But first, he needed to master the Golden Cicada Force. While Qin Ming and Xiaowu silently cultivated, accumulating their cultivation, the outside world buzzed with excitement and endless discussions. As expected, the duel between Ling Yu and Xin Yudao the previous night dominated the headlines, with extensive coverage across all directions. The brilliance of the heaven-blessed prodigy pierced through the night mist, illuminating every corner of the world. Though Xin Yudao was defeated, the night report didn't belittle him but instead praised him highly. As for Ling Yu, he was finally directly addressed as the young ancestor, with no further attempts at concealment. Ling Yu will participate in the sword trial of the world. Once his cultivation realm advances, he'll likely compete against the immortal seeds and divine seeds. Absolutely. With his dual-path cultivation, he'll rise rapidly. I can't wait for that day to come. The entire Kunling city was buzzing with the news. However, the two involved, Qinming and Wu Yaozu, felt strangely conflicted, far from the elation one might expect. Instead, they were both diligently focused on their cultivation. Qian Chuan stared at the newspaper in his hand, his expression a mix of amusement and disbelief. No one knows the truth better than I do, he thought. He gazed toward the lakeside, where two mysterious youths resided in a house nestled among emerald bamboo and golden wisteria trees. These were the same youths who had humbled the two heaven-blessed prodigies so widely celebrated in the news. If this ever came out, it would cause a sensation. Qinming and Wu Yaozu were living fulfilling lives, each immersed in their cultivation while diligently researching information about the third forbidden land. They were eager to learn when they would get the chance to hunt the auspicious beast. That highland plateau is rich in medicinal herbs, contains several hidden realms, and teems with demons and monsters. When the time comes, warriors from all paths and cultivation levels will have the opportunity to participate. This would be a practical combat exercise, a military drill, and a small-scale rehearsal for the grand pioneering war of the Night Mist World's depths. Qinming and Wu Yaozu learned that various Dao lineages and academies were currently surveying the plateau, dividing it into meticulously demarcated territories. Participants must carry memory crystals to record their actions. Full-time recording isn't required, but footage of final blows against demons and monsters is mandatory to verify combat achievements. The rules included a strict warning against internal conflict. Any violation would allow others to retaliate collectively in self-defense. First realm, second realm. Qinming examined the newly released rough map, noting its complex terrain and the designated activity zones for each cultivation realm. Clearly, the deeper one ventured into the plateau, the higher the level of demons and monsters encountered. Who do we need to fear in the first realm? We can even try our luck in the second realm. Xiaowu rubbed his hands together, eager to get started. Qinming cautioned him, don't be overconfident. The second realm will undoubtedly contain near-immortal seeds, divine seeds, variant seeds, and other formidable figures. Kunling City had grown increasingly lively in recent days. Sun Taichu's arrival with Kui Chong had a clear purpose. Recently, cultivators from the beyond the mortal realm, immortal lands, Yang lands, and the secret sect had been converging, bringing with them hidden immortal seeds, divine seeds, and other extraordinary beings. The auspicious beast was truly extraordinary. Its blood essence could extend the lives of ancestor-level figures, making its benefits for the younger generation even greater. Wu Yaozu nodded. Brother, let's aim for 9 awakenings during this highland expedition, or even reach the outer Saint Domain. Then we can explore the second realm and grab some real treasures. In Kunling City, people were discussing Ling Yu and Xin Yudao, as well as which near-immortal seeds had arrived and which divine seeds had secretly emerged. Ordinary citizens listened with fascination, while experts sensed a brewing storm. This region would soon be engulfed in major events. Little Sparrow has traveled across mountains and rivers, enduring countless hardships, to finally reach Kunling City with Princess Purple Lightning Beast and the others. A speaking sparrow, carrying a small pack, descended from a massive airship alongside the Purple Lightning Beast, 4-tusked white elephant, and other mutant beings. Mountain Lord, I wonder how you're doing. Little Sparrow has made remarkable progress recently. The speaking sparrow flapped its wings and flew ahead, now a trusted confidant of the Purple Lightning Beast. Xiao Qin has been missing for too long. Did something truly happen to him on the airship? Li Qingyan arrived with a furrowed brow. Meng Xinghai had urged him to find Qinming at all costs, and he also wanted to see Li Qingyu. Ling Yu was tormented. After several days of forced calm, he couldn't bear it any longer. He sought out Tang Jin again, urgently demanding she arrange a decisive battle between him and the youth from Black White Mountain. Last time, he had been lectured and rebuked, and Tang Jin had refused. Have you mastered the 5-colored lightning force and the 4 symbols condensation? Tang Jin asked. Using a wisp of pure yang consciousness spark as the seed, have you successfully drawn upon heavenly light and refined it? Have you thoroughly integrated and fused these extraordinary techniques? Ling Yu's battle spirit burned fiercely. Senior sister, I've mastered them all perfectly, he declared. If I can't have this fight, I won't be able to sleep, and my cultivation will stagnate. Qin had already mastered the golden cicada force. For ordinary cultivators, mastering a single extraordinary technique could take half a lifetime or even a lifetime of study. But for him, it clearly wasn't so difficult. I need to learn another extraordinary technique. He muttered to himself. In the past, each of his awakenings had involved combining one extraordinary technique with several types of heavenly light force. This time, however, he didn't want to practice the conventional heavenly light force. Instead, he planned to attempt mastering and fusing two extraordinary techniques simultaneously. Which extraordinary technique should I choose next, and how do I obtain it? Qin Ming frowned. After careful research, he became particularly interested in the Dragon Serpent Manual. This was the extraordinary technique practiced by Ancestor Qingtian during his 9th awakening. Not only could it grant rebirth from death, but it also allowed one to cultivate an incomparably fierce heavenly light force. Ancestor Qingtian was said to be able to support the heavens with his bare hands, possessing divine power that surpassed all others. Qin Ming felt that this founding master's path of awakening was extraordinary, and the manuals he had cultivated at critical stages deserved serious study. The Dragon Serpent Manual is difficult to obtain, he mused. The Shan Mountain and River Academy has a copy, but it's not publicly available. He wondered if he should seek it out at another Dao lineage. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.